On to the main topic of this presentation, which is the 4 elements that you need to include in your videos to convert viewers into customers. So the first thing that you need to think about is the purpose of your video. You need to have a single purpose, and it doesn't have to be just getting views on your video. It could be things like building your social media channels. It could be selling a specific product on your website, or it could be reducing the amount of customer service calls about an individual issue. The idea is, if you have too many purposes to your video, you're going to confuse the viewer and they're going to lose what you're talking about and not take the message in. Once you've got that purpose, then you've got to figure out how you're going to measure it. So do you have a CRM system which logs the topic of every call that you get? Do you have good enough analytics on your website where you can track exactly which video the person came from to get to your website? And then once you can measure it, you can then start testing it. So it could be on individual videos, you can see which videos do better than others, or if you really want to go granular, you could take the same video and you could do it 4 different ways. You could have different background music, you could have different text on screen, different video, and then you can advertise each one on Facebook and see which one does better, and then you can make more content like that in the future. On to number 2, you need to have a really good hook at the start of your video. You've got to imagine people on social media, they're scrolling through and you need to interrupt them and make them pay attention to what you're talking about. So there are a couple of ways you can do this. One of the simplest ways is to start the video by asking a question. If you ask a question, people naturally want to know the answer, especially if that question relates to them. So it could be, is your boiler making weird noises, or is your business struggling to pass the £1 million profit mark? It's just going to get their intrigue. Another good way is by using really nice, beautifully shot footage, because a lot of the footage you see on these platforms isn't very good. So if you've got something that really stands out, it's going to grab someone's attention and they're going to want to know what the video is actually about. The last way I want to talk about is make people laugh, and this is quite a hard one because it needs to come from you personally and it needs to be quite natural. So I wouldn't do it if you're not naturally a funny person, but by making someone laugh, you're lowering their guard, you're making them smile, you're making them feel good, and they're just going to want to keep watching just because of that. On to element number 3. You need to get your customers to self-identify in the video. What does this mean? So basically, self-identify is they see themselves represented on screen. And again, there's a few ways you can do this. One of the easiest ways is to go back to what I was saying before about asking questions. If you're asking questions and someone goes, oh, I need to know the answer to that, that relates to me, then they're going to want to keep watching. The best way to do it though is to use your customer avatar. If you're not sure what a customer avatar is, it's basically you're building up a profile of your ideal customer. So how old are they, where do they work, what's their job role, what do they do at weekends, what do they drive, all these sorts of things. So you can then take that information and put it into your video. Let's say you're a hypnotherapist and you want to help people who work in the City of London that suffer with anxiety. So you make a video and the first person you show on screen is a 40-year-old wearing a suit, maybe driving a nice car, looking a little bit worried. That person's going to go, oh, that looks like me, I need to watch this video. Another example could be if you're running a wildlife park and you want more families to come in. You're aiming with families where the parents are 30 to 40 and the children are under 8. Just literally show that on screen. Show the family walking around the park, smiling, having a good time. On to the last element that you need to include. You need to tell a story, and this isn't as complicated as it sounds. When we're all growing up, I'm sure we all got taught in English that a story has 3 main parts: a beginning, a middle, and an end. So how does this relate to business videos? So your beginning is, where is your customer at now? What problems are they facing? What's their challenges? What's stopping them getting to the next level? Your middle is about you, but not talking about you specifically, but how you can help the person, how you can move them forward, and what sets you apart as a business and makes you a little bit different. And the ending is the transformation stage. How do they feel after working with you? How have you improved their life? How have you improved their business? So just to run over the 4 different elements again, you need to know your purpose and know how to measure it. You need to have a hook at the beginning of your video that draws people's attention. You need to get your audience to self-identify by seeing themselves represented on screen, and you need to tell a story with a beginning which addresses your customers' problems, a middle of how you can help, and an ending of how they will feel after using your services. So I hope that all made sense, but obviously if you've got any questions, please ask away.
Do you prefer people looking down the camera or interview style looking just off of the camera?
It depends on the subject of the video. So if you're talking directly to the audience, you want to talk to your camera because then they feel like you're looking at them and you're connecting with them. Whereas if it's if someone doesn't feel comfortable in front of camera, it can be easier to talk just off a camera. But you know, if I look over here, it instantly doesn't look quite as personal. It doesn't look like I'm talking to you. It looks weird. So generally I say talk to camera unless you're nervous or it's a different style of video.
Can I have a second point to that as well? So the next question is, how far do you look to the side without it looking weird?
Yeah, it's 45 degrees. So if you think 90 degrees and go halfway, you got there. So basically, if you go too far, you're losing that eye, and obviously the connection is made through the eyes. So you want to make sure you got both eyes in your shot.
Do you recommend any apps for editing? So for filming on your phone and editing, I know it's not that professional, but is there anything good?
I can only speak for iPhone because that's all I've used, but you got a free version of iMovie on there, and that's easy to cut bits out of clips and layer clips on top of each other and things like that. So that's definitely a good one to start with. I'm sure there'll be something equivalent on Android, but I haven't got that phone, so I couldn't tell you.